This is the Buffy and Lamar Show.
Great show.
This is the Buffy and Lamar Show.
Great show.
Thursday.
This is the Buffy and Lamar Show.
Great show.
What's happening, everybody?
This is the Buffy and Lamar Show.
Yeah, what up, y'all? This is the Buffy and Lamar Show. I'm your host, Lamar Quincy, alongside my host as well, the elegant, the ever so vibrant, the beautiful, the sexy, the talented, the smart, the genius that she is, Janita M., a.k.a. Buffy.
What is good?
What is good, Buffy?
Everything.
Everything is good. You look relaxed.
I'm relaxed.
After the bomb vacation that I planned.
The bomb. You did your thing.
I did. Did I outdo myself from the year before?
You did. Surprisingly, I didn't think that was possible, but you did outdo yourself from the
I told you I
year.
was.
Yes, you did. Awesome.
I told you I was.
You're
But
very
you didn't
good at
believe
that.
I am good
I
at that.
believed you.
You did?
Believed you. Yeah.
Well, it's because I do research.
Yes. Which, in other situations, is very annoying. Like, you research stuff, like, for weeks and months.
But when it comes time to go on vacation.
Yeah, for vacation
it's
purposes.
beneficial.
Definitely.
Well,
I appreciate it.
you're welcome. I mean, how much more restful can you be?
Not much.
That's
I didn't do
good.
jack, so.
That's good. Sometimes we just need an opportunity to not do jack.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, we are back again
Yes.
for another episode of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate our guests last week for coming on the show,
Yeah,
having great conversation.
Always.
If you guys missed it, go back and you can watch it or listen, whichever you choose. It's up to you.
You like that little new addition?
I do like that new addition. It makes things so much more great and grand.
I don't know why people want to see us, but
I don't really know
if
either.
you want to look at us while we talk, then do that.
Fine with
dope.
me. We'll go ahead and make that happen for you. So what do we got going on today?
Today, well, we got to do our hot topics.
That's what I'm talking about.
So, yeah.
All right, so the hot topics.
The first hot topic is the computer screen that got cracked on a Delta flight.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. All right, so I'm reading, scrolling my news to try to get some of the latest and most entertaining scoops. And there was a passenger who was on a Delta flight, and the passenger in front of them, they leaned back in their chair and reclined
I hate when people lean back.
and cracked their MacBook screen. So apparently, if you go and look at the picture, like the little divot on the back of the seat, it kind of like smashed the MacBook screen, and the screen just kind of cracked and it damaged the screen. And here's the bad part.
That's not the bad part?
That's the bad part, but the worst part is that they're not going to pay for...
They said they're not going to pay?
They said that any damage to personal property that happens on a flight because of another passenger, Delta said they're not liable for that.
I didn't know that. Is that like in the ticket information somewhere? In small print?
Probably.
That's
But,
whack.
It's not Delta's
So
fault.
how do you, get your stuff fixed?
You go to the store and you pay for it. Delta's not going to pay for it. I'm pretty sure that's what they told them.
Wow.
Like for instance, that's like if anybody just broke your laptop
Right.
on a plane and you want Delta to pay for it, they're
Or,
not going to pay for it.
because if anybody broke your laptop anywhere else, nobody would be liable to have to pay for it.
A couple of weeks ago, the CEO of Delta, he put out a statement saying that people should ask before they lean back. Do you think that that's a thing? Should you ask? Do you ask people before you lean back?
No.
You just lean back,
I just
right?
throw it straight back.
So
Why would I ask? That's
do you-
weird.
Do you lean back quick or are you like a slow lean back?
I do a slow lean back because I hate quick lean backers.
quick lean backers are bad.
Yes.
Because if you quickly lean back, you could
Yeah.
spill your drink or something
Right,
on
like you
somebody.
don't know if they have their table down, if they're doing something.
Right. So I lean back
Yeah.
slow too, just out of respect. But I don't
Right.
ask.
Like
I'm not.
slow enough so you know, like I'm about to
I'm
come
coming back. Yeah, I lean
Yeah.
back slow too.
Yeah.
I lean back.
I would feel bad if I broke somebody's laptop.
I would too.
Ugh.
I wouldn't feel bad enough to pay for it though.
That's dirty.
I mean, first of all, why was their laptop that close up on the back seat? Like I put, like the table
It's
comes,
not that much room though. I mean, they could have pulled it out, but it's not that much room.
but the table comes towards you,
It does.
so it's not like up against the back of the person's seat. So they like had it like tucked in.
In the little slot.
Yeah, they had it tucked in a little slot, and then the person leaned back and cracked the screen. I'd have been upset.
I would have been mad too.
I feel bad for them, but
Well, if they have a MacBook,
Living
maybe
your
they
life.
have insurance, so you know.
hopefully they have the insurance to get it fixed. But the insurance is gonna be like,
Yeah.
what kind of claim is that?
Yeah, they might not cover it either. That sucks.
That
really
does suck.
sucks.
That does suck for them. So what else we got?
The coronavirus.
Oh,
So I guess people are asking, like, are some people making too big of a deal about the virus and trying to like be safe and not catch it?
all right. Here's the deal. So I'm on Instagram, and I don't really know how accurate this was. But I went to this person's page. I guess what's her name? Summer
Walker.
Walker. There you go. And she's at the airport with a trash bag wrapped on her, around her body, and the mask on. And her caption says something like "Not today," as if
So the trash bag's gonna protect her from the virus?
I guess so. Is that too
That's
much?
a little too much. If you're that afraid of catching something, you probably just shouldn't even fly until you feel more comfortable. I'm not wearing a trash bag on the flight.
We should have wore trash bags.
I'm not wearing a trash bag.
I mean,
That's ridiculous.
if you get the jumbo Glad
No.
that smell like Febreze,
Febreze scent?
you good. We
got your
walked through the
cologne.
airport with the Febreze scented trash bags, and we good.
I'm not doing
And
that.
then the mask, and then you good.
I'm not doing that.
Do you think people are kind of overreacting to the corona, or you think it's all like
I mean, you should be cautious and
Be cautious.
Yeah, and definitely if you're in a situation where you feel like, oh, maybe I should put a mask on. Mask is appropriate. Trash bag, no, that's a little.
Do you think mainstream media overhypes stuff sometimes?
Yes, definitely. Maybe they just want to sell mask and
Trash
hand
bags.
sanitizer trash bags.
That's
like
definitely
sometimes that happens, and those things kind of, go up in sales because people are afraid, and
maybe we should buy some stock in some like masks.
no.
Apparently, mask sales have gone up recently.
Way up. Yeah, it was like a shortage. Like people are sold out of masks.
You can't find masks
You can't
anywhere.
find masks.
So if we were invested in masks, we would be up right now.
It would be up.
That's an idea. Maybe we should do that. And then
Next virus.
Next virus. And then maybe if trash bags, maybe they'll make like fashionable trash bags
For viruses.
for the viruses. You put arms and legs in the trash bags, and you got a whole outfit. Sell them to everybody.
Oh my god. That's the idea.
Who knows? I don't know. I haven't worn a mask yet.
Have you worn a trash bag yet?
I've worn a trash bag.
When did you wear a trash bag?
I'm just joking. I've
Oh,
never
I
worn a
was about
trash
to say,
bag.
when did you wear a trash bag?
So what else? That was pretty hot though,
Yeah.
especially being in that trash bag. It was a corny joke.
Corny. Corny.
What else?
That's it. We're gonna get into our topic for today.
Oh, okay. So, fill me in on what the topic for today is, cause I remember, but I don't.
So today we're talking. This is kind of like a subject that comes up, but I think it's like really important. We've talked about it often on different, levels for different reasons. So we're talking about the reason that it's so hard for Black men to become so-called good men. Good
Some black men.
Some black men, right. So I kind of feel like there's like an issue there, or we kind of talked about some of the concerns or some reasons why this might happen. So by good men, I'm meaning like, like your stand-up guy, good family guy, faithful husband, goes to work every day or has a career or business to support his family, take care of his family, that kind of thing. Somebody you would call a good guy. So, in our culture, it's kind of seems like it's a struggle or an issue more than it is for other men in other cultures to be that guy.
I think that there's too much of a there's too much of an imbalance in the examples. And what I mean by that is when you're growing up as a black male, right? Most of the time, if you have a father figure, you may look to your father figure as an example, but then that's one person out of 100 other men who may be doing something different. So, for instance, if your father is a real stand-up guy, goes to work every day, does everything that he's supposed to do, you can look to him as an example.
Right.
But then the other examples that you have are uncles, other guys in the community who may not be doing the same thing. You got television, you got athletes, you got entertainers.
So you don't feel like young black men see enough of the good guy.
Right. If the tables were turned and it was flipped, right, and you saw more stand-up guys and then less guys, not really doing or setting a good example, then I think that would make a difference. And it's funny too, because just now, as of recent past couple of years or so, you're starting to see a change in people who are in the public eye, as for example, rappers and entertainers and actors. They are really displaying their relationship, their family life, and
so the good guy image is more popular.
It's more popular now. They're really displaying, they're displaying their relationship with their wife.
Right.
I can remember at a time, me doing music, and it was like, all right, well, if you're gonna do music, in order to sell more records, you have to be a sex symbol and be able to sell
appear
sex.
To be single.
Right. And in order to do that, you have to appear to be single. Right. And now it seems like it doesn't matter as much anymore. And I think what's happened is people who have a platform have begun to take a little bit more responsibility in the things that they put forth and the images that they put forth. So,
which is really good.
It is good.
Why do you think that started? Like, why did that change?
I think a lot of them began to smarten up and really understand and take responsibility for what's actually happening. Like, you can say, I'm not a role model when you're up in the public eye, but you can't avoid
I hate when
it.
people say that.
Yeah, you can't avoid it.
You're obviously a role model. Everybody's looking at you.
And I think when you say you're not a role model, that's really just you not wanting to take responsibility for it. So I think a lot of them, especially with like just the negative portrayal of black men in media, and
that
how
could be a reason why people might think like, we need to do something.
How we've been treated in our community, and it's like, we have to be a better example for a younger generation coming up, and let them know like, this is how you become a stand-up guy. You don't really have to do X, Y, Z.
I remember that being hard for you back in the day when you're trying to do music. Like, nobody could know that we were together. Like, that's not something that you actually said to me, but that's how you were living.
And it's like, you can take these other examples or influences of other men in your life, and you make a choice on which one you want to model in your life after. And a lot of times, we go after the, I guess the one that looks more appealing. And then once you do that, you spend years and years of your life living in that. And then once you get a little bit older, you kind of change your perspective.
Right.
So then at that point, you kind of have to unlearn and you have to unlearn all of those things and begin to walk a different path.
So which one looked more appealing to you before? Which role model did you choose? Be honest.
Which one did I choose?
Yeah, which one?
Not the good one.
Of course, not the good one.
Yeah, not the good one.
Okay, so
But, I think that
like, why did you choose it though? Like, what made you say, okay, I'm gonna be this dude?
that's a good question.
That's why I asked it.
I think that when you're a young male, like I said before, you look for the one that's more appealing.
Okay.
Most of the unappealing models that I had, to me, lived really moderate, average,
They were corny.
boring lives, which was a life I didn't really want
Right.
for myself. So I kind of maybe felt like I had to do this in order to live this kind of
The life that you wanted to live.
Yeah. Not really realizing at a young age that I didn't have to live a certain way for my life to be exciting. My life could be exciting. It was just how I choose to live it,
Right.
which is what makes it exciting.
It could be exciting bad, or it could be exciting.
Yeah, it could be
good.
exciting bad or exciting good.
Yeah.
So I think that when it comes to black men, right, in particular, there's just a wide variety of different examples.
So in other cultures, you feel like they don't have a wide variety, or
They do, but I think that, and for instance, in white culture with white males, I would go out on a limb and say that majority of white males, young white males, the examples that they have like directly in front of them
Right.
in their communities, all pretty much have, it's balanced in a good way.
right? So it's a lot less.
There's a lot less
Bad
negative.
examples, right.
Yeah, it's a lot less negative examples and more positives.
So dad and granddad,
You got
and your
grand-
Uncle Mike. They're
Exactly.
stand-up guys. You see all them all the time, and you only know like one bum,
Right.
and that's it.
Yeah, and then the teachers, and then the
Right.
doctor, and the
Yeah.
dentist, and
Right.
one of them.
And they all look like you.
Exactly. And the negative examples, you don't see much of them.
You know, that was one reason why
That's just my opinion. I don't know that for to be a fact. Yeah.
You don't know if it's fact, but it seems.
That's what it seems
to be. Yeah.
that's what would make sense to me.
So I think that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to raise our kids in Atlanta. Because I realized that you have to see a thing before you can believe it. So just like you were saying, like, they're seeing the doctors and the lawyers and the dentist, and they look like them.
Right.
Where we lived, our kids would have never saw that.
That's true.
So you know what I mean? So growing up in Atlanta, my son sees doctors on a regular basis.
Yeah.
He knows that they're good guys. He's played with their kids. He's been to their house.
They look like him.
They look like him. He's seen lawyers. You know what I mean? So, and really successful people. So that, like you said, he's able to understand that this is probably the path to go. Because I don't really see,
Right.
that other guy.
Right.
Why not?
Not to say that he still couldn't make a bad choice.
He could.
Because
I mean, it's all up to him. Yeah.
He does see it.
You
It's
definitely
just not
see it on TV.
It's just not necessary. Yeah, he sees it on TV. I'm pretty sure he sees it at school.
Right. But it's not the majority.
It's not the majority, and it's probably not directly connected to him.
Right. That's
You know what I'm saying? And I think all of that makes a difference.
It does. I'm sure.
So, like, to answer or to really just kind of answer the question, I think that we just take a long time to unlearn all of those negative influences.
Right.
And it takes a while for us to do that, especially after living life in a certain way for so long.
Right. Then you got to figure out how to live.
You got to figure out how to live a different way.
Right.
And that takes some time. It's not easy to do. You know, it's not really easy to do.
I like to bring up the fact that it's really not easy to support as well. I mean, it's really hard if you can imagine.
Yeah.
Being a black woman, we have to go through that a lot more than other women. I'm very sure. I see that with at least 9 out of 10 women
that have
to go through that. They have to support
that process.
The process, the growth, the unlearning of things to be able to have a successful relationship. A lot of relationships don't make it because it just takes so long for you to unlearn things. And then the fact that most black men don't have a great example. So even if they wanted to do right or they wanted to do good, they don't even really know what that looks like.
Well, I'll say this. What responsibility do the women have in that? Because listen to what I'm going to say.
Okay, I'm listening.
Right? As a woman, and I understand.
That's like a touchy subject
no,
for me.
But listen,
I hate that. Yeah.
When you're young, there's a lot of things that you don't know. Right? As an older woman now, you could probably recognize that in a guy.
Did you just call me an older woman?
Older than you were.
Okay, when I was younger.
Older than when you were younger.
Okay.
As somebody who's older than they were a long time ago, that would be something that you could recognize now. And you would say to yourself, all right, this guy's not finished developing.
Right.
And let me hold off on him. Let me hold off before I invest all of myself into him.
Okay.
As opposed to when you're younger, you just kind of...
Right. You're just kind of going with it.
You're just kind of going with it. You're in it together or with whom you're with. And it's almost kind of like that's what you signed up for, right? Because how many guys at the age of, early, mid-20s, can you honestly say that you could look at them and be like, I think they got it together.
Right.
This is who they're going to be for the rest of their life in 10 years.
I think that's another issue that has to do with raising black women or young black girls as well. Because you really have to have things, you really have to be able to teach them what to look for.
Right.
To teach them that, no, you don't get involved with somebody or get into a relationship with a guy that is, not old enough to kind of have it together.
Right.
And that there's certain things that he should bring to the table before he approaches you or before he you guys get serious. Like that standard has to be set in the young girl's home to begin with. And that's not the case for a lot of us either.
Right.
That standard is not there. They don't know what a good man looks like.
Right. So with that said, I don't think you can really, you can hold the guy responsible. Him not having the right examples is definitely part of the issue.
Right.
But then also too, like if women were able to recognize what they want in a guy earlier on in their life, then you could probably avoid a lot of stuff from happening. Because if you would have known that I wasn't really ready in my early to mid 20s, you could have been like, nah, holler at me in like 10 years when you get it together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Which should have been my standard.
That should have been your standard, right? And then if that happens, then what you say that women go through doesn't actually necessarily have to happen.
But I think I understand that. But then, too...
I made a good point.
You did make a good point.
Yeah, you ain't know what to say just now. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I know.
But listen. Okay,
all
so
right.
I understand that point. But you got to remember, we don't have a lot to choose from. If that's the majority of guys that's out there, you'll end up, like most women are right now, in your 30s
Alone?
maybe 40s alone because you had that high standard. So not that you shouldn't have standards as women, but you can't X everybody out because they're not fully ready at the moment. And I think that's what happens a lot. Like
Maybe
if I would have said that,
you would have been alone?
I would have been alone.
Well, maybe you just got to be alone for a little while.
Sometimes you do got to be alone.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to be alone.
Yeah.
You save yourself some headache.
Definitely.
However, you would have been lonely.
Right.
But, I think it kind of...
It's all about choices. It really is.
It's,
And then the most important thing, the reason why we have these conversations is that we need to fix what's happening in the home.
Right.
So that's why we always talk about relationships and how that affects everything.
Right.
Because if you have a two-parent loving home, your parents have a good marriage, some of those things are going to get done. You're going to have the good example. You're going to have the conversation with your daughter about standards and how to pick a good man. All those things will start at home, and then we'll be good.
Right.
But since, a lot of homes are broken and that doesn't happen,
Right.
this is what we deal with.
I think that what happens too is, I think because we're the guys and, we're supposed to be the leader or head of the household type of thing, that we really catch a lot of the flack for, like what you just said.
Right.
Like, why does it take so long for guys to become really good guys? Or why don't some of them ever get it? But just the same as I said, that guys have to unlearn and, learn how to be in that role for their wives and for their children. I think that women also, too, have to learn how to be in that role and unlearn some things that they've learned from their influences who surround them.
Yeah.
But because you all are women, right, it's more on display for us. You know what I'm saying? Like, the issue is more of a display for men.
That you're not getting it
that
together.
we're not getting it together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Which is fair. I accept that.
Good, you should.
But, a lot of guys will probably argue, because I'm pretty sure there's some pretty solid guys out there that can't find good women just because the women that are out there, they may have bad influences and experiences that they saw growing up.
Yeah, that's true.
And the guys like, yo, where are all the good women at?
I've heard a lot of good guys say that, which is kind of sad because it does, maybe she's had already a handful of guys didn't have it together.
Right.
And she's hurt from that, and she's like not really wanting to take that chance anymore.
Right.
I don't know. It affects everybody.
So ultimately, I think that the biggest thing that one could take away from this conversation is the fact that influences around youth matter a whole lot.
They definitely do.
And I think that, and it's so cliche to say that it takes a community to raise a child, but it really does, because if you think about it, most kids, they kind of look past their parents for influence.
They really do. It has to be like who you're hanging around so your kids can see
so
other examples.
It's like, the kids, the parents can set a foundation of this is what we do.
But they're definitely going to look past you.
But the kids, your kids are definitely going to look past you for other influences.
So you kind of got to set it up.
You got to set it up
You
for
really
them.
do.
And almost kind of Jimmy rig who they're around.
You do.
To put them in the most successful environments that they could possibly be in. And you kind of have to try to control that as much as you can possibly can.
You got to protect your kids from the wrong examples.
Yeah.
Like we talked about that because our son had like a horrible basketball coach one time. And I just feel like I wanted to take control of that situation because I'm like, I don't want you around my son. Like, you don't have the right values and the morals and the principles that I want him to be around or to see. But I do think that's a serious thing. Like, that's not something small. That's huge. Small. Yeah, like you should have something in common with the coaches, with the teachers,
Right.
like all of those things should just be enforced.
I think for me, when it comes to basketball for our son, I've said this to you before. It's more about the influence of the guys and the coaches that are around and the learning experience of being disciplined and working within a team and working hard and focus and
More
all
than
of
basketball.
those more than basketball.
Yeah.
The basketball is just
Yeah.
the byproduct of it, but learning a skill, getting better at it, facing challenges, not running away from those challenges,
Right.
facing losing and defeat. All of those things to me build character.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what sport you play.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And if you have a coach that has those same values and can put that into a child, I think that those are the things that I look for more than anything. Basketball is just secondary to all of those
So it
things.
can be any sport.
It could be any sport. It doesn't
So
really
you'll let
matter.
them do that little flag thing in gymnastics? That one too? They have coaches. That's cool too. I'm just checking.
You just gonna go there. You know what? I don't even have to ask that question. I don't have to answer that question. You can ask
Why?
him that.
Oh.
You
You
can ask
don't
him.
think he would want to do that?
Nah, he's not gonna want to do that. You can
You're
ask
pretty
him
confident?
that. I'm pretty confident that he's not gonna want to do that,
Okay.
and I'm happy about that. And I'm pretty confident that he's not gonna want to do that. I know my son,
Yeah.
and
No, you probably won't want to do that. But you know.
not saying
But all
anything
sports
against
are,
anybody.
All sports are good though.
I'm not saying that guys can't do the ribbon dancing sport. I'm not saying that. By no means am I saying that. However, I know my son's not going to want to do that.
Okay.
Don't you got to wear tights?
You do have to wear tights. I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I would think
They don't
tights
wear
would be-
basketball shorts.
No, they don't.
Maybe if he could wear basketball shorts,
might
then he
do
might
it.
do it. I don't know. I mean, maybe that'll
Yeah.
be like a new thing. You
Never
wear
know.
basketball shorts, dancing with the
With
ribbon.
ribbons.
And J's. Can you imagine that?
That
Somebody
would
in
be
J's
hilarious.
and basketball shorts
Swinging the ribbon.
swinging the ribbon. I'm gonna send that. Don't bite that. I'm gonna send that skit to SNL and have them do that.
Oh,
That would be
God.
funny.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, I'm pretty confident he's not gonna want to do that.
So,
I've spent enough time with him to know.
that he might not want to do that.
Yeah, he ain't gonna want to do that.
So how do you think, like as a father, you have a black son?
I got a black son.
You do.
If I didn't have a black son, we'd have a problem.
Probably. But your son is black.
My son is black.
How do you set an example or make sure that he knows what type of guy to be when he grows up?
The best way is first of all, I have to try to be the guy that I want him to be. But like we said before, eventually he's gonna start looking past me.
Right.
Right. Right now, I'm the first contact. And when he starts to look past me, I have to have enough of a relationship with him in order to tell him what type of examples or people he should look for or look to be around.
Right.
If I don't have a relationship with him, he's probably not going to receive what I tell him.
Yeah, you can kind of be as good as you want to, but if you don't have a relationship with your child, they're not really going to pay attention.
Yeah. So in that process now, it's like developing enough of a relationship so I can be like, because I tell him now, I'm like, you gotta be mindful of the people that you surround yourself with,
Right.
because those people can either take you up or bring you down.
Right.
It's just a matter of it's either up or down.
That's true.
And if he can receive that from me and remember that,
Right.
I think that as he gets older, he'll begin to filter out people. And that's what I hope for him more than anything. I hope that he's able to recognize certain circles that he should be in and that he shouldn't be in. I think that that's where
that's important, because you have to kind of do it for yourself. Like, you can't pick and choose who your kids are going to hang out with or be friends with.
Right.
But you have to put something in them where they will be able to pick or choose wisely for themselves. Yeah.
Right. So I think mainly that's really what I want for him, is to be able to recognize, like, all right, maybe this group or this person I shouldn't be spending that much time with, because they may not be going in the right direction, and I don't want to go in that direction.
I know that. So we started having kids pretty early. We were young. We were 19 when we had our first child. And I distinctly remember, like, just being like, Lord, I do not want to have a son right now. Like, you're dope. You're dope now. But
Listen,
you had some unlearning to do.
I've always been dope.
Whatever.
I've been dope from day one.
Whatever. You were going through your process, I'll say that. And I really understood the importance of what your role would be in our son's life.
Yeah.
And I was like, please don't let us have a son until he's, like, ready.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would have missed some vital years.
Yeah, you would have definitely missed some years, and that would have been bad. It's really, really crucial for dads to be in their son's life, like, all the way through.
Yeah.
And
Especially at certain times.
Yeah, definitely.
At a certain time, you know, he definitely needs me to be present for a lot of stuff. And I'm recognizing that more now as he's reaching, you know, his teenage years and starting to just see and learn different things. He's actually becoming a person now to where he's developing his own thoughts and ideas. And I just want to make sure that I'm there to help him think for himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want him to be an independent thinker.
Because you can't think for him.
I can't think for him. I want him to be able to think for himself. I want him to really be able to just be an individual, make his own thoughts and decisions based off of, you know, educated choices, and make the right choices. And I think if you do that, he'll be good. And not to say that it's not going to be rough. Like, I made bad choices. I made tons of them.
Yeah, he's not going to be perfect at making choices, but you can set that example and you can give that foundation so that he will definitely know how to make good choices.
Right. So then, coming full circle back to the topic of the show, if I'm able to set him up in that to where he's able to make choices and I'm able to kind of Jimmy rig the system so that he's around the right people, then in 10 years,
he'll be a good guy.
He'll be a decent guy to where, you know, whomever young lady that he chooses may not have to go through.
Oh, she's not going to go
that cycle or go through those years of waiting for him to develop into a solid guy.
Oh, yeah, we blessed her.
Did we?
We did, definitely.
All right. Well,
definitely.
We probably did, because I know you're gonna spaz on him if he start acting crazy.
Definitely.
And I know you're gonna be all in his business, so
definitely.
I don't really have to worry about that.
You need that. You need all of that.
Be the best person everybody's, that you can be. All of the kids' business.
All of the kids' business. You have to be.
You do. I'm glad you're in their business. Yeah. Then that means I don't gotta do as much digging.
Great. You just come to me for the dirt?
Yeah, I'll come to you for the dirt, and then I'll add my dad,
little dad 2 cents.
My dad advice in there.
It works.
It works out for us. That's how
we do.
That's how we do. We unified and we together on it. So that's really all that matters. That's
very true. So I'm trying to think. as a black woman, I'm trying to think of what advice I would give to a younger black woman, like you said. So I was like in high school.
Okay, so here's the thing. What would you tell yourself? What would you go back and tell your younger self?
Well, yeah, that's kind of the thing I was thinking about. I would probably tell my younger self to, and it seems like, like you said, so cliche and like old school or whatever.
Right.
You really need to go and develop yourself first. Like, yeah, everybody wants a boyfriend. They want to be able to hang out with somebody, or, you start getting those feelings where you want to be in a relationship at that age.
Right.
But it's just not time for that.
Right.
Like, you got to go through school, you get your education, and then by the time you finish doing that, that should probably be your first real relationship.
It's tough now, though, because, like,
is.
society has everybody getting together so young.
They got everybody booed up. I mean, our daughters started at like 11 and 12 just feeling like, oh, I want a boyfriend. And I'm like, what? Like, for what? They didn't even really fully understand what it meant at that age. But like you said, because of society, seeing stuff on social media, on TV and movies and stuff, it's just all out there.
Right.
And then from an early age, you're like, oh, I want to be with somebody. When
It's
you are
kinda-
not ready at all.
It's really kind of backwards, because I don't really think you start learning who you really are until you're like close to 30.
Definitely.
And then it's like, when you're close to 30, it's like, it's kind of late by then.
I mean, I think you can grow together in your 20s, but it definitely should not be before then. Like, because you really don't know. Like, your brain isn't even fully developed before you're 21. How are you in a relationship with somebody else?
I don't think you should really start exploring relationships until like 25, 26.
Yeah, that's a good age.
Because then
You kind of know a little bit about yourself.
you know a little bit about yourself. The other part of that, though, is like, the older you get, I think the more selfish you can become. And that's something that you also have to unlearn if you want to get married or be in a relationship.
You're like, oh, you're here. I forgot.
Yeah, because it's like you spend all of those years with it just being you.
Right.
Say you go until like 28, 29 before you actually get married, and you haven't really had an example of a marriage.
Right.
Like, you kind of really just had the opportunity to develop in selfishness, and it's just you.
Right.
And then you kind of got to unlearn all of that and try to be in a relationship with someone else.
I think that might be easier.
That's probably easier.
Definitely easier.
I don't know if I'd say easier. It'd be different.
It's different. I would say it would probably be easier, but I don't know. That wasn't my journey, so I'm not really know for sure.
Right.
I think it would be easier. It's more natural. Like, you know what I mean? It's more natural. It's kind of what happens after you get with somebody.
Yeah.
A lot of people go through it. You got the like 7-year itch kind of thing where you kind of get comfortable with being with somebody else. I think those things are natural, and they would be a lot easier to overcome than everything that comes with, immature relationships and people that aren't developed and aren't ready.
Right.
It would be so much easier.
Right. Well, my timer just went off.
What does that mean?
I'm not even just going to ignore it, because I know everybody heard it. I did.
You couldn't have did something in post.
I didn't mean for it to make noise, but it made noise, so we'll just go with it. So that's the end of the show.
I guess so.
The timer said wrap it up. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No,
The timer won't go off again next week.
Good. It won't go off again.
No,
You're
I'm
going to
gonna
put it
make
on
sure.
silent.
Yeah, I'll
next
put it on
time?
silent.
Thanks.
So it
What would
doesn't
you
beep.
tell your younger self?
What would I tell my younger self? I would tell my younger self in regards to what? Just anything?
No, like we were talking about, like beginning a relationship at that age, that kind of thing.
I would tell myself to wait to get into a relationship. I would tell myself, I would look myself straight in the eye and I would say, look, self, you're not ready.
Right.
Like, seriously, you're not ready. Wait,
Right.
get yourself together, and then do it. and then explore that. I had a lot of growing up to do.
Yeah.
And I think that it was unfair. Like you said, like it was unfair to you for you to really have to endure my growing up process.
I mean, it really is unfair to the both of us.
Yeah.
Not that I don't love young love. It's beautiful. You can grow and develop and together and make a really good life. I love our marriage. I love where we are right now. It's not impossible. If that happens to be your journey, it's not, going to end in failure, not doomed just because you're young.
Right.
That's fine. If that's your journey, that's where you're at. But it's really unfair to each other for your development and growth because you both are still children. You're learning yourself. So, give each other time separately to develop in those things that you need to develop in order to be able to be in a relationship that will be beneficial for the both of you. You have to have two whole people, two grown-ups, two people that are willing to grow and develop together. You have to get to that point first.
Right.
So that you don't just hurt each other back and forth.
Yeah, you want to bring your best self to the relationship.
Definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That was good.
It is.
I hope that this conversation has enlightened someone, shed some light on a relationship that you may be in, or that you may have been in, or you're thinking about getting in.
Or having a conversation with your kids.
Having a conversation with your kids.
We talk to our kids about this a lot.
Yeah. And it started out as, why do, black men maybe have a harder time developing into stand-up guys.
Right.
Not to say that there are not tons and tons of guys who are stand-up guys. There are a lot of them because I know a lot of them.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just challenging to unlearn certain things. And I think that goes for guys and for women, especially when you don't have the right examples or a lot of examples around you when you're growing up. So, yeah, great conversation, Buffy.
Yes, good stuff. Continue the conversation, people.
Continue the conversation. Have the conversation in your communities, with your kids, with everybody, with mama and them. Let them know what's going on. Because if we don't talk to each other, how are we going to know? Right?
And if you're a good guy, be a role model to somebody.
Be a role model.
On purpose.
Yeah. I think I'm a pretty solid guy, so I try to bring wisdom to all of the younger guys around me. Make sure they're on the straight and narrow. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I appreciate everybody. This is the Buffy and Lamar Show. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening. We are on social media, the Buffy and Lamar Show on Facebook, Instagram. You can follow us at Buffy and Lamar. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Watch these episodes. They are coming on every Thursday. We upload them every Thursday. And you can also continue to listen on wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, just to name a few. Visit our website, www.buffyandlamar.com. That's right.
Sir.
So thank you guys for tuning in. Anything else, Buffy?
That is all.
That is all. All right, we appreciate y'all listening. Make sure y'all check back with us for another episode next Thursday. We'll see y'all. Peace.
Peace.